What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're going to be talking about We Live in Time. Directed by John Crowley and written by Nick Payne, this film stars people like Andrew Garfield, Florence Pugh, Lee Braithwaite, Grace Delaney, and more. So here we are finally talking about We Live in Time. You guys may remember, if you follow this channel, that a few weeks ago I unfortunately was dealing with Hurricane Milton here in my local area in Florida, which did end up shutting down theaters. It put me behind on quite a few movies that I had intended to see, and one of those movies was We Live in Time, because I actually had an early press screening to check it out almost a week and a half before its general release. It did end up getting rescheduled to the day that the film actually was going to be releasing, this previous Thursday, but unfortunately I was not able to make it, so I wanted to try to at least see it in its opening weekend. As of filming this, I watched it last night, Sunday of its opening weekend, and I'm filming this on the Monday, so not super early to the review, but I wanted to still talk about this movie. Now, this is a movie I went into with little to no information on, other than the fact that it was a romance drama and that it starred Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh, which in and of itself already had me excited because I love the two of them, and if I'm not mistaken, this may be like the first big release since No Way Home for Andrew Garfield. Either way, I was really excited to see the two of them. I love both of them as actors and actresses, and I really looked forward to seeing the chemistry that they had together on screen. But I hadn't seen a trailer for this movie. I don't really feel like there was really heavy marketing for this film. I had only seen the poster, and as somebody who keeps up with movies that are coming out, I was just familiar with the fact that this film was coming soon enough. With all that said, I don't want to get too deep into spoilers since I haven't seen the trailer for this film, but the base premise of this film is it focuses on Tobias, played by Andrew Garfield, who's a recent divorcee who ends up meeting an up-and-coming chef known as Almut, played by Florence Pugh. The two of them end up building a romance, as you would expect, and the film takes place over the course of a decade as we see them going through the various trials and tribulations that come from any marriage, from any relationship, and it takes place kind of showcasing a lot of the ups and downs of their relationship. And I'll start this off by saying that the cast is really strong here, with Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh obviously being the standouts here. Their chemistry is absolutely palpable, and there's some great moments between the two of them that are incredibly charming, and the chemistry between them and the relationship that you truly believe in as you're watching them throughout the course of the film is what makes so many moments in this film incredibly emotional, very happy, charming, sad, whatever the case may be. They're able to kind of run the gambit when it comes down to emotions, because the two of them do create a very believable relationship over the course of the film, and I thought the performances are incredibly well done. Outside of that, I think that the film is a very competently made film. It's well shot. There's some great sound design throughout the course of it. The music that's used throughout the course of the film is really fitting as well, very much adding to a lot of these emotional beats. And this is a film I think is going to work for some and maybe not work for others, but ultimately was a film I find myself impressed by, and was a film that got me thinking about life. One thing that's really interesting about this film that I really enjoy on an artistic level, but I also do have my criticisms of, is the structure of this film. Throughout the course of the film, we are jumping from the past to the future and the present on a consistent basis. The movie is consistently showcasing us the struggles they will face, while also immediately going back to some of the early little kind of silly things that initiated their relationship. Then we get to jump to somewhere in the middle where they're figuring things out, happy moments, sad moments, absolutely diabolical moments, and moments that really challenge the strength of their relationship. Because of the jumping around in the timeline structure of this film, it did sometimes slow down the pacing or kind of remove kind of feelings that you were feeling from one scene to the next, but I ultimately felt that it felt very true to life. As somebody who deals with anxiety, I have a bad tendency of living in the future. I have this bad tendency of assuming what's to come or how things are going to play out, whether they happen that way or don't. And I'm also a very nostalgic person, so I tend to find myself living in the past and remembering past memories and locations I was in far more fondly sometimes than I actually did in that moment, but also times just thinking nostalgically to better times, so to speak, from my past. And a lot of times that ends up having me lose sight of what's going on in the moment, but years down the line, I'll end up realizing that that moment that I was kind of fixated on the future in the past has now become a nostalgic past that I can look back upon as well. And so I thought that the film was interestingly structured, jumping from the future to the past to the present and bouncing all around, because it very much felt true to life how you can be living in a present moment, but it is a lot of those memories and that, or the things that are to come, that tend to be what's on our mind. And I think that this film captured that very well. I think this is a film that can ultimately showcase to you that there are hard times and good times in anybody's life, and a lot of times it's the small moments and some of these key moments in our lives that we will look back upon and recognize how important they were to us. And I think this film captures that very well. With that said though, my criticism of that would be that just sometimes it does kind of halt the pacing. You'll have one scene that is very happy and it feels like they're kind of triumphing over something, only for the next scene to be incredibly sad and be in a completely different point in their life, and the next scene after that kind of being a more of a silly scene with the two of them. It oftentimes meant that the tone was a little bit all over the place, but for the most part, I think that this film captures that super well because again, it felt true to life. This film made me think about my own life. If you guys know from following the channel, you know that just a few months ago, I tied the knot with my wife. We've been together for 10 years. We were long distance for a big chunk of it. And there's so much I can look back on now over the course of our relationship, from the long distance portions to the times when I moved out to Vegas to be with her, and to when she moved to Florida to be with me. And we, figured things out, and the ups and downs, the arguments, the hard times. And this film really tackles that idea of all of the struggles that we will kind of come to face in any relationship and in any life, and how it all kind of culminates in this beautiful story. Whether things are good or bad, whether things can be sad at times or happy at times, there's oftentimes just this thing about life that when you look back on all of the ups and downs can just really be viewed as beautiful. And sometimes you just have to be appreciative of what you lived, whether it was good or bad. And I think this film really captured that. It made me think about my own life. It made me think about what's to come, but also it made me think about the moment. It made me think about what has happened in my life in the past. The film is about love. The film is about the hardships and the struggles that we all face, not only in relationships, but also in our own lives, whether it be illnesses or, successes in our career or setbacks in our career. This film tackles a lot, and I think it does a really good job with that broken up kind of all over the place structure to really just showcase various moments in life and how they can all kind of be viewed through a different lens. So that's going to be my thoughts on We Live in Time. Ultimately, I found it to be an incredibly well-made film, but I can understand if this is maybe a film that's not for everybody. I do think that the structure may alienate some people, but I ultimately found myself thinking about life and enjoying the performances and finding myself captivated and emotionally connected to the characters that we're following here. And I think Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh give great performances throughout the entirety of the runtime, and the supporting cast definitely follows suit, giving some great performances as well. So that's going to be my thoughts on We Live in Time. Definitely want to hear from you guys, so leave some comments down below. Did you like this movie? Did you not like this movie? Is this movie on your radar? Are you planning on checking it out? Whatever the case may be, leave any and all comments down below, and I'll see you beautiful people in the next one. Bye-bye.